All right, guys, let's get back to it here. So when we left, make sure you check your screen. We had an error going, and that was in our for loop. I did not add the necessary number of bullet points or periods in between the one and the two. It needs to be three right here. So just check yours. If you only have two, add the third one. That error should go away. So we basically, last time through, we implemented our player class. So that's all ready to go. So what we want to do now is we want to add the player to the scene. Okay, so we've got the class ready to go. So now we need to get this player onto the scene so our users can play the game here. So let's go ahead and let's go to the game scene class. Okay, so I'm going to go back to game scene. Okay, and we want to go ahead and do a couple things here. So we're going to declare a constant property named player to the game scene class here. So here's what we can do here. So that's so we can do this, kind of, we've got, a couple things here at the top. So why don't we put it below all this stuff right now here? Okay, so we're in game scene right now. So we're going to create a variable called invaders. I take that back here. Okay, sorry about that here. So yeah, coming back at it here. So what we'll do is let's update our invaders who can fire here. And we're just going to set this equal to invader. Okay, so that's just creating our invaders who can fire. Okay, so now let's create our player. So it's going to be a constant. It's going to be of type player class, and it's going to be equal to the player class. So basically, we're just creating an instance of the player class, and it's this constant called player. So we're kind of instantiating, we're bringing it to life here. Okay, so let's go below the setup invaders and method here. All right, so a lot of curly braces down there, so make sure you're below that last one. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our setup player method here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a function called setup set player. Excuse me. All right, create our function here as always with the two parentheses and our brackets underneath that. Okay, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the position of the player. So player.position is going to be equal to CG points. We're working with those CG points again, which is set position of items. Okay, so we're going to set the X coordinate first. So we're going to go X is going to be a CG rect make. Okay, excuse me, back up here. CG rect mid, get mid, so we want to get the midpoints. There it is, get mid X is what we're looking for, so self.frame. Okay, so basically we're going to say we're going to take the frame, that's going to be the X coordinate. Then we're going to set the Y coordinate to be player.size.height, and that's going to be divided by 2 plus 10. Okay, so basically all we're doing here is we're just setting the CG rect get mid returns the center of a rectangle along the x-axis. So then we're just going to use the frame as the rectangle, and it's going to be the center point where the player is going to be here. Okay, so what we want to do now is we've got our set player method all ready to go. Okay, oh, actually before we do anything, we have to add the child. All right, so add child. So we just need to add this to our game here. We're going to add player to it. Okay, so now we're good to go there. All right, so now let's go ahead and add this back to our did move to view method. So let's come back up to did view to move right below setup invaders. We're going to add setup player. Excuse me, or set player. Excuse me. So I typed it as set player. So now when this will be on our view ready to go here. Okay, so now if we test the application, you should see the player added to the bottom of the screen with the thrusters engaged in firing. So go ahead and test that out here. Okay, I'll do the same here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. Okay, and go ahead and run it again so we can see. So let's see if we've got our player added to our scene here. So our game is coming along nicely here. So we'll let this guy build up here, and good point for you to check over your code. If you got any errors, go back to the last video or this one and just find the error and what's happening. Okay, let's check this out here. Here we go, Space Invaders. Dun dun dun. All right, so we're on our iPad here, our monstrous iPad screen. This is like an iPad, biggest iPad screen in the history of iPads. Okay, so here we load it up. So let's try this out. New game. All right, so there's our spaceship. It's ready to engage. There's our invaders. Okay, so we're getting closer now. Okay, so let's go ahead and come back to it now, because now let's give the spaceship the ability here to fire some bullets here. Okay, so we're going to create a bullet class, and then we'll kind of do the same steps as the player and the other, and the game thing. We got to create a class for, like we did with player. We got to create the class, and then we'll implement that class here, and then we'll, from there we'll be able to start firing away here. So again, just some necessary steps here. So let's go ahead and go Command N. We're going to create a new Cocoa Touch class, a source Cocoa Touch. Click on Next, and we're going to name this one Bullet. And then we want this to be a subclass of SK Sprite Node, so that should be the same, but just double check it. Click on Next. Let's go ahead and create this one as always, so it shows up. Perfect. All right, so as the last time, we're going to import our sprite kits. Okay, so that way we got all the abilities to use the the sprite kit methods and functions and all that. So we're going to go ahead and do some similar steps here. So we're going to add our init, all right, just to initialize some things here. So we're going to give it 2 parameters, image name, okay, and then we're going to make that a string, and then we're going to say bullet sound. We're going to make that a string, okay, and then we'll make that an optional, just to make sure it's checking for that. Okay, and then inside of it, we're going to create the texture of the bullet. So the texture, let texture is going to be SK texture. There we go. Okay, and that's going to be image named. And then we're going to call that image name. Okay, so basically we're passing that from up here. Image name is coming down here. Okay, we're going to use our super.init. Init, not init. Init is what we're looking to do here. Okay, so now we're going to go texture. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our texture constant from above there. Color is going to be SK color. That's going to be the clear color. And then the size is going to be texture dot size. So this is pretty repetitive from the last time here. Okay, so just make sure we're getting that all in. And then after our size, oh, excuse me, we need to add our parameter parentheses there. Okay, and then super init is good. And then we're going to create an if statement, just basically to say when, if what should happen with the bullet sounds. We're going to go if bullet sound is not equal to nil. Okay, so if it's something, okay, we're going to run action. Okay, and that's going to be SK action. Okay, play sound file name. Okay, bullet sound. Okay, so again, if you're thinking, where is this stuff coming from? Things that we brought in here. Okay, so we've got some of these things that are ready to go here. Okay, so bullet sound. And then from there, we're going to go, oh, we don't have to go, it's already there for it. Then we're going to go wait for completion and then false. Okay, so basically this is, so if the bullet sound isn't nil, we run a method. Okay, and this method takes a string, which is all coming from up here. Okay, so then we'll bring all that down. Okay, and basically we're just testing, say, should we be making a noise or not? Okay, so one more thing to add here, we just need to add our required, oh, let me undo that, there we go, required init, and then just our coder, a decoder methods that we've been putting in here, a decoder, then ns coder, okay, and then super inits, coder.aDecoder. All right, so that just kind of finalizes everything for our bullet sound that we're working with right now. Okay, so at this point here, the wait for, and then we've got this all set up. All right, so again, going through it, the bullet sound isn't nil. We're going to run an action that's going to get the bullet sound. All right, and then the wait for completion is false. It's nothing to worry about. But if this was true, all right, the action would last for however long the sound file is, so we want to keep that as false here. Okay, so we've got our bullets class in place right now. Okay, so a couple other things we need to do here. Okay, so next thing is we're going to create an invader bullet class. Okay, so that way the invaders have the ability to fire bullets at us here. So again, same thing, Command N, source Cocoa Touch class. Call this one invader bullet, and it's still going to be SK, oh, excuse me there real quick there. This is going to be, we're going to subclass this from the bullet class. All right, so basically we're going to bring over all kinds of properties here. So we just got to start typing in bullets. Alright, let me just fix that up here. Okay, go ahead and click on next here. Yep, we want to save it to our normal group here. And then you'll notice when this one opens up here, Invader Bullet is a subclass of Bullet. Alright, so something a little different we haven't done before, but basically Invader Bullet now has all the properties and characteristics of the Bullet class. So it just kind of gives us some convenience to work with some of the same files there. Okay, as always, we got to import our sprite kit. All right, so then basically what we're going to do here is we just got to do a couple methods here. And again, this will probably make, we're just setting up things for collision here later on. So let's just get these in and we'll talk more about it later. So override init, image name, again, it's going to be a string, bullet sound, it's going to be a string as well. And then we got to do our super init action as we've been doing here, super.init. And then image name, this is going to be image name from above. Bullet sound is going to be bullet sound from above. Oop. Okay, so we got that all in play there. Okay, then we just need to add the required. All right, just kind of init, get it going, and required init. Question mark, and again, this is coder, a decoder, NS coder, and then we're going to go super init coder.a decoder. Okay. All right, so again, so this is the Invader Bullet class, and the last one we're going to do on this video here is create the Player Bullet class. So it's going to be our ability to fire. So Bullet class is kind of just the big bullet in general. Now we just have the different bullets for each, the player and the invader. So let's create a new class. Yep, Cobra Touch. We're going to call this one, let's see here, Player Bullet. All right, and then again, this is also going to be a subclass of Bullet. So make sure that it says Bullet right here. It should be from last time. Click on Next. All right, click on Create. Okay, so then this is going to be very similar to what we did with our Invader Bullet. So import Sprite Kit. All right, and then let's go to it here. So override init image name is a string. Bullet sound is a string. All right. And then we got to do our super.inits. So again, this is probably thinking we just did this, and you are right, but this is a different class, so this is a player bullet. All right, but again, we just need to have this in place so that when we want to start, you know, we'll be using these more going forward. So we're just kind of setting up the things here, so eventually we can get our game pretty darn active. So then let's add our required init method here, question mark, and then coder, a decoder, that is a NS coder type, and then inside that we're going to go super inits coder dot or colon a decoder. Okay. All right, so basically up until this point, we've created and implemented, excuse me, some of the key classes of the game. All right, so we add a grid of invaders to the scene, and then the spaceship the player will be controlling. So now from this point, we're going to continue to work with these classes in the next part of the series, and now we're going to start getting into the gameplay. So basically, kind of the pieces are in place right now. So now we get to do some of the gameplay, which I think will be some pretty cool stuff here, because we're going to get our app to be able to, you know, actually fire some bullets here and take care of some of those invaders coming in. So good job up to this point here. I'm going to stop it at this point here, but we'll pick back up with you know, our third part here coming up. Nice job, guys.